My brother slept with my fiancée while I was about to propose. 22 years later, my daughter wants reconciliation because they are still family. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. So, I 48 males built something from nothing. Started as a construction worker straight out of high school, worked my ass off for decades, and now I own 3 successful contracting companies across the state. I'm worth about $4.2 million, own a beautiful house in the hills, drive whatever I want, and live exactly how I choose. But it wasn't always like this. 28 years ago, I was just a broke 20-year-old kid who thought loyalty meant something. 28 years ago, I still remember the smell of concrete dust and sweat that covered my work clothes when I left the construction site that Friday. My hands were calloused and raw from mixing cement all week, pulling double shifts just to save up every penny. But in my wallet, I had something that made me grin like an idiot. My final paycheck that would complete the $3,200 I needed for the engagement ring. Yeah, $3,200 was everything to me back then. I was planning to propose to Jessica the following weekend at her favorite restaurant downtown. I'm Marcus, and back then I was just a stupid kid who believed in fairy tales. I worked construction, lived in a shitty apartment with my older brother Derek, and was head over heels for my college girlfriend Jessica. She was studying business administration while I was breaking my back building other people's dreams. Derek and I were tight. He was the smart one, working toward his MBA, always had girls throwing themselves at him. Real smooth talker. Me? I was the worker, the one who fixed things with his hands. When I told him about my proposal plans, he slapped my back and said, "Bro, you're gonna make that girl the happiest woman alive." I believed every fucking word. Jessica and I had been together for 4 years. Blonde hair down to her shoulders, blue eyes that could make you forget your own name, and a smile that convinced me I was the luckiest bastard alive. She was the one, or so I thought. We'd talk about our future, the house we'd buy, the kids we'd have, how I'd work my way up to owning my own company while she climbed the corporate ladder. That Friday, my foreman let me leave early as a reward for the overtime I'd been putting in. I stopped by the flower shop and bought 2 dozen red roses. Cost me $60, which was grocery money for the week, but I didn't care. I had a key to her apartment. Her roommate Sarah was usually out on Friday nights, so I figured I'd surprise her with dinner and flowers. The apartment was quiet when I walked in. I could hear music coming from her bedroom, some slow, romantic bullshit she always played. The door was cracked open, and what I saw when I looked in didn't just break my heart. It fucking destroyed my soul. Jessica was strapped naked on her bed, and my brother Derek was on top of her, going at it like animals. They were so into it they didn't even notice me standing there for a good 10 seconds. The roses fell from my hands and hit the floor, petals scattering everywhere. They jumped apart like they'd been electrocuted. "Marcus! Baby, it's not what it looks like!" Jessica screamed, grabbing a sheet to cover herself. Derek stood up, not even bothering to cover his dick, and had the nerve to say, "Bro, let us explain. This isn't what you think." "How long?" I managed to ask, my voice sounding like it came from someone else. They looked at each other, that guilty glance that told me everything. 6 months, Derek finally admitted, still not looking me in the eye. "But we didn't want to hurt you, man. It just happened." 6 months, half a fucking year while I was working myself to death, saving every penny for a ring, planning our future. 6 months while this piece of shit listened to me talk about how much I loved her, how I was going to propose, what kind of life we'd build together. I lost it. Completely fucking lost it. I screamed until my throat was raw, threw her lamp against the wall, told them both I'd rather die than ever see their faces again. "You knew I was buying you a ring," I yelled at her. "You fucking knew everything." I stormed out of there shaking with rage and betrayal. Drove around for hours until I had to pull over because I couldn't see through the tears. The next few weeks were hell. I moved out of the apartment I shared with Derek, got my own place across town, changed my number. My parents tried to play peacemaker. "Brothers fight, you'll work it out," my mom said. My dad just shrugged and said, "Time heals everything." But when Derek and Jessica got engaged 3 months later, and my family acted like it was perfectly normal, that's when I realized I was truly alone. They got married 8 months later. Big ceremony, my whole family attended. I wasn't invited, obviously, but my mom made sure to tell me all about it. Derek looked so handsome, and Jessica was a beautiful bride. They're really happy, Marcus. Maybe it's time to move on. That's when I made a promise to myself. I'd show them all what a mistake they made. I threw myself into work like a man possessed. Started taking every job I could find, learning every trade, plumbing, electrical, roofing, you name it. While Derek was getting his fancy MBA, I was building real skills. I met Amanda at a coffee shop near a job site. She was a nurse, kind and patient. Nothing like Jessica's flashy gold-digging ass. We got married 2 years later. Had my daughter Emma 9 months after that. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. Even when Amanda and I divorced amicably when Emma was 12, we just grew apart, no drama. We kept things civil for our kid. But here's the thing. While I was building my life, I was also building my empire. Started my first contracting company when I was 25, then a second one, then a third. By the time I was 40, I was pulling in serious money. Not just comfortable. I'm talking about the kind of wealth that changes everything. Meanwhile, Derek, his MBA got him a middle management job at some insurance company. Jessica worked part-time at a boutique, spending more than she made on designer bullshit. They had 2 kids, lived in a basic suburban house, drove used cars. Nothing wrong with that life, but it wasn't the success story they thought they were writing. I never spoke to any of them again. At family gatherings, I'd stay on the opposite side of the room. When someone mentioned them, I'd change the subject. My family learned that Derek and Jessica were my red line. Cross it, and I was gone. Emma grew up knowing she had an uncle, an aunt she'd never met. I never badmouthed them to her. I just said we had differences and left it at that. She was smart enough not to push it. And honestly, she had everything she needed. Private school, college fund fully paid, nice car on her 16th birthday, family vacations to Europe. She never wanted for anything. Then, 3 months ago, Emma dropped the bomb that would change everything. We were having our usual Sunday brunch at the country club when she said, "Dad, I want them at my wedding." I nearly choked on my coffee. "What are you talking about?" "Uncle Derek and Aunt Jessica. I want them at my wedding next year." Emma was engaged to Ryan, a software engineer who made good money and treated her right. I was paying for the whole wedding. We're talking about an $85,000 event at the best venue in the city. "Absolutely not," I said. "Dad, it's been 28 years. Don't you think it's time to get over whatever happened?" "Get over it? Like it was some minor disagreement about a football game? You don't understand what they did to me. So explain it to me." I've been following Jessica on Instagram for years. She seems really nice, and their kids look sweet. Why can't we all just be a family? That's when I realized my mother had been showing Emma pictures behind my back, filling her head with ideas about this perfect family reunion. "If you invite them, I won't be there," I said firmly. "Are you serious? You'd miss your only daughter's wedding over some old grudge?" "It's not a grudge, Emma. It's called having self-respect." She stood up, threw her napkin down. "Fine. Then I'll pay for my own wedding. I don't need your money or your approval." And she stormed out, leaving me sitting there wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life. 2 weeks later, I came home from a job site to find cars in my driveway I didn't recognize. I walked into my house and there they were, sitting in my living room like they owned the place. Emma, Derek, and Jessica. Derek had aged badly. His hairline had retreated to the back of his skull. He'd put on at least 60 pounds. And his cheap suit looked like he'd bought it at a discount store. Jessica was a different story. She'd clearly had work done. Fake tits, Botox, the works. Dressed in designer clothes I knew damn well they couldn't afford. Still trying to look like the hot young thing she was 28 years ago, but coming off more like a desperate housewife. "What the fuck is this?" I asked. "Dad, please," Emma said. "Just hear them out." Derek stood up, trying to look confident, but I could see his hands shaking. "Marcus, I know we have a lot to talk about." "No, we don't. Get out of my house." Jessica stood up too, and that's when her true colors really showed. "Oh, come on, Marcus, we're family. Can't we just put the past behind us?" Her voice had this fake sweetness to it that made my skin crawl. She was eyeing my house, the expensive furniture, the artwork, the obvious signs of wealth, like she was calculating what it was all worth. "You see, Marcus," she continued, "Derek and I have been going through a rough patch financially. The kids need braces, we have some credit card debt, and we heard about how well you've done for yourself." There it was. The real reason for this visit. "Are you fucking kidding me?" I said. "Emma told us about the wedding," Derek jumped in. "Maybe we could help with the planning, and if you needed any financial assistance or advice." "Financial assistance? From you two?" I started laughing. "Do you have any idea what I'm worth?" Jessica's eyes lit up like dollar signs. "Well, we know you've done well, and family should help family, right? I mean, Emma is getting married, and weddings are so expensive. Get out!" My voice was deadly calm. Get out of my house right now. Emma started crying. Dad, they're trying to apologize. Apologize? They haven't said one word about what they did. They're here because they think I'm their lottery ticket. Jessica's mask slipped for just a second, and I saw the real her. Greedy, calculating, entitled. Look, Marcus, what happened between us was a long time ago. We were young, we made mistakes, but Derek and I are married now. We have kids, and we could really use some help getting back on our feet. Help getting back on your feet? What the hell have you two been doing for 28 years? Derek looked embarrassed, but Jessica just kept going. Well, Derek's job doesn't pay as much as we thought it would, and raising kids is expensive, and we made some bad investments. So you thought you'd come to the brother you fucked over and ask for a handout? It's not a handout, Jessica snapped, her fake sweetness disappearing completely. You're family, and honestly, you've done well enough that helping us wouldn't even dent your bank account. That's when I realized what kind of person Jessica really was, and always had been. A gold-digging, entitled princess who saw everyone around her as potential ATMs. Emma, I said, not taking my eyes off these two parasites. If you want them at your wedding, you can pay for it yourself, and you can find yourself a new father figure, because I'm done. I walked out of my own living room and went to my home office, locking the door behind me. I listened to them argue for another 20 minutes before they finally left. Emma didn't speak to me for 6 weeks after that. I'll be honest, those 6 weeks were brutal. I missed my daughter like crazy, and part of me wondered if I was being too stubborn. Maybe I should just swallow my pride, let them come to the wedding, and move on with my life. Then I got a phone call that changed everything. Marcus, this is Tony Rodriguez. I used to work with your dad. Tony was an old family friend who'd always been straight with me. I know this isn't my business, he continued, but I think you should know something about Derek and Jessica. My grip tightened on the phone. What about them? I was at Murphy's bar last week and I overheard them talking to your cousin Mike. They were planning something. Planning what? They're broke, Marcus. Really broke. Derek lost his job 6 months ago. They're about to lose their house. And Jessica's been making some big purchases on credit cards, thinking Derek would get a promotion that never came. My blood started to boil. But here's the kicker, Tony continued. They're not trying to reconcile with you out of any genuine remorse. Jessica actually said, and I quote, "Once Marcus forgives us publicly at the wedding, we can start asking him for real money. He's worth millions, and we're family. He'll have to help us." The phone creaked in my grip. She said they figured if they could get Emma on their side first, you'd have no choice but to give in. And once you did, they'd milk you for everything they could get. I hung up the phone and sat in my office for a long time, thinking. Then I started making some calls. You see, when you have money and you've built a network over 25 years, you can find out pretty much anything about anyone. I hired a private investigator. Cost me $5,000, but it was worth every penny. The report I got back was beautiful. Derek hadn't just lost his job. He'd been fired for sexual harassment. 3 different complaints from female coworkers. The company settled quietly to avoid publicity, but he was blacklisted in the insurance industry. Jessica had run up $47,000 in credit card debt, buying designer clothes and jewelry, trying to maintain an image they couldn't afford. They were 4 months behind on their mortgage. Their cars were about to be repossessed, and they owed the IRS $23,000 in back taxes. But the best part? Jessica had been cheating on Derek for 2 years with her personal trainer, a 26-year-old musclehead named Chad, who drove a motorcycle and lived in his mom's basement. The PI had photos, hotel receipts, everything. That's when I decided it was time for my revenge. I called Emma and told her I'd changed my mind, that I was ready to reconcile with Derek and Jessica, and they could come to the wedding. Really, Dad? You mean it? I've been thinking about what you said. Maybe it is time to let go of the past. She was so happy she cried. We met for lunch the next day and started planning the wedding again. I told her I'd cover all the costs, just like before. There's just one thing, I said. I want to do this right. I want to have Derek and Jessica over for dinner before the wedding. Clear the air, you know? Maybe we can all start fresh. Emma thought that was a wonderful idea. I called Derek personally, put on my best reconciliation voice. Derek, this is Marcus. Look, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and Emma's right. It's time we put the past behind us. He was so shocked he could barely speak. Marcus, wow, really? Really? I'd like to have you and Jessica over for dinner this Saturday. Just the 4 of us adults, no kids. We can talk things through, maybe start over. That sounds amazing, man. Jessica's going to be thrilled. I bet she was. That week, I had my house deep cleaned and hired a catering company to prepare an expensive dinner. Prime rib, lobster tail, the works. I also had my security system upgraded with new cameras that covered every angle of my house, with crystal clear audio recording. Saturday night came, and they arrived right on time. Derek was wearing what looked like his only decent suit, and Jessica had poured herself into a tight dress that probably cost more than their monthly mortgage payment. Marcus! Jessica gushed, giving me a hug that lasted way too long. Your house is absolutely gorgeous. You've done so well for yourself. Derek was looking around like a kid in a candy store. Jesus, bro. This place must be worth a fortune. It's home, I said modestly. Come on, let's eat. We have a lot to catch up on. Dinner started off friendly enough. We talked about Emma's wedding, their kids, general small talk, but I could see Jessica getting more and more comfortable, and that's when her true nature started coming out. So Marcus, she said, cutting into her lobster. Emma told us you own 3 construction companies now. That must be incredibly profitable. I do all right. Oh, come on, she laughed, gesturing around the dining room. This is way more than all right. You must be worth, what, several million? Derek looked embarrassed, but didn't stop her. I don't really discuss my finances, I said. Of course, of course. I'm just saying, it's amazing how successful you've become. And here Derek and I are, still struggling to make ends meet. Here we go. The economy's been tough, Derek added weakly. It really has, Jessica agreed. Especially with Derek being out of work right now. You're unemployed? I asked, like I didn't already know. Just temporarily, Derek said quickly. I'm interviewing for some great positions. Jessica jumped in. The thing is, Marcus, we're in a bit of a tight spot financially. Nothing too serious, but you know how it is with kids and mortgages and everything. I'm sure things will turn around, I said. Oh, I know they will, Jessica said, reaching over to touch my arm. Especially now that we're all family again. I mean, family helps family, right? There it was. What exactly are you asking me, Jessica? She exchanged a look with Derek, then put on her biggest smile. Well, we were thinking, maybe you could help us out a little bit, just until Derek finds a new job. We'd pay you back, of course. How much are we talking about? Maybe 50,000? She said, like she was asking for spare change. I nearly choked on my wine. $50,000? I know it sounds like a lot, Derek said, but we're really desperate, Marcus. We might lose the house. And it's not like you don't have it, Jessica added, her mask slipping a little. I mean, look at this place. You probably spend $50,000 on your landscaping. I leaned back in my chair. So let me get this straight. You two betrayed me in the worst possible way 28 years ago, never apologized, and now you want me to give you $50,000? We are apologizing, Jessica said. We're here, aren't we? We're trying to make things right. By asking for money? By trying to rebuild our relationship, Derek said. The money is just temporary help between brothers. Jessica leaned forward, her cleavage practically spilling out of her dress. Marcus, honey, we all made mistakes when we were young. But look at us now. We're all mature adults. Can't we put the past behind us and focus on the future? You're right, I said, standing up. Let's focus on the future. I have something to show you both. I walked over to my entertainment center and pulled out a manila envelope. What's that? Derek asked. The future, I said, sitting back down. See, when you two came to me asking for help, I thought I should know exactly who I'd be helping. I opened the envelope and pulled out the private investigator's report. Jessica went pale. Derek looked confused. Did you know, I said conversationally, that Derek here was fired for sexual harassment? 3 different women, Derek. 3. That was a misunderstanding, Derek stammered. And Jessica, I continued, did you know your wife has run up $47,000 in credit card debt? Or that she's been fucking her personal trainer for 2 years? The silence was deafening. Jessica's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Derek looked like he was going to vomit. Oh, and here's my favorite part, I said, pulling out a photograph. This is Jessica and Chad at the Marriott downtown last Tuesday. Nice position, by the way. Very athletic. Derek grabbed the photo and stared at it. His face went from pale to red to purple. You fucking whore, he whispered. Derek, I can explain, Jessica started. Explain what? How you've been cheating on me while we're going broke? While I've been begging my brother for money? I think you two need to leave, I said calmly. But Jessica wasn't done. Her fake sweetness was completely gone now, replaced by pure entitled rage. You bastard, she screamed at me. You set us up. You knew about Chad and you humiliated me. I humiliated you? You humiliated yourself. We needed that money. We're going to lose everything. Not my problem. She stood up, her face twisted with fury. You think you're so much better than us? You think your shit doesn't stink because you have money? I think I'm better than you because I have integrity. Integrity? She laughed bitterly. You're just a bitter old man who can't let go of the past. You've been planning this revenge for 28 years. Actually, I've been planning it for about 2 weeks, but it's been very satisfying. Derek was still staring at the photo, broken and defeated. But Jessica was just getting started. You know what? Fine. We don't need your money. We don't need you. But don't think this is over. Oh, but it is, I said. Because you're never getting near me or my daughter again. That's when she really lost it. Your daughter? Your precious little Princess Emma? Do you want to know what she really thinks of you? She told me you're a cold, controlling asshole who uses money to manipulate people. I smiled. Did she? That must have been before she found out what kind of people you really are. Jessica looked confused. What do you mean? I pulled out my phone and played a recording. Emma's voice came through crystal clear. Dad, I owe you an apology. Tony Rodriguez called me and told me what he heard at Murphy's bar. I can't believe I fell for their act. They're not trying to reconcile. They just want money. I'm so sorry I put you through this. Jessica's face went white. That was from 3 days ago, I said. Emma knows everything. The debt, the cheating, the harassment charges, all of it. You're lying. I played another recording. This one was Emma's voice talking to someone else. No, Jessica, you're not invited to my wedding anymore. I know what you really wanted from my dad, and I'm disgusted. Don't ever contact me again. Derek finally looked up from the photo. Emma knows about Chad? Emma knows about everything. So does the rest of the family, by the way. I sent copies of the PI report to everyone. Your kids will probably hear about it at school on Monday. Jessica screamed. Actually screamed like a banshee. You fucking monster! You've ruined our lives! No, I said, standing up. You ruined your own lives. I just documented it. Now get out of my house before I call the police. Derek stood up slowly, still holding the photo. He looked at Jessica with pure hatred. 28 years. 28 years I've been married to a lying, cheating whore. Derek, please. Shut up. Just shut the fuck up. He turned to me. Marcus, I'm sorry. For everything. For what we did to you. For coming here tonight. For all of it. It's too late for sorry, Derek. He nodded. I know. Come on, Jessica. Let's go. But Jessica wasn't done. She grabbed a wine glass and threw it at me, missing by inches. It shattered against the wall behind me. I hope you're happy, she screamed. I hope you die alone and miserable. I'll die rich and respected, I said. Can you say the same? Security cameras caught everything. I had the whole beautiful meltdown recorded in high definition. They left that night, and I never expected to see them again. But life had more surprises in store. Derek filed for divorce the next week. Apparently, the private investigator's report made it very easy for his lawyer to prove adultery and financial irresponsibility. Derek got custody of the kids, and Jessica got nothing. She had to move back in with her parents at 46 years old. Their house went into foreclosure. Derek had to declare bankruptcy. The IRS started garnishing whatever wages he could find from odd jobs. But the best part? Jessica's personal trainer, Chad, dumped her as soon as the scandal broke. Apparently, he wasn't interested in dating a broke, middle-aged woman with no prospects. Emma's wedding was beautiful. The guest list was smaller without Derek's side of the family, but it was filled with people who actually cared about us. I walked my daughter down the aisle with pride, and she thanked me in her speech for always protecting our family from people who would take advantage of our love. For 6 months, I didn't hear anything from Derek or Jessica. I assumed they'd slunk away to rebuild their lives somewhere else. I was wrong. It was a Tuesday morning when my secretary buzzed me at the office. Mr. Marcus, there's a Derek Thompson here to see you. He says he's your brother? I hadn't heard that name in my office ever. Derek had never even seen my businesses. Send him in. Derek walked into my office looking like a broken man. His clothes were wrinkled and cheap, he'd lost weight, and he had the hollow-eyed look of someone who hadn't slept in weeks. Marcus, he said, barely above a whisper, thank you for seeing me. What do you want, Derek? He sat down across from my desk and put his head in his hands. I'm desperate, man. Completely desperate. I figured as much. You wouldn't be here otherwise. It's not for me, he said quickly. It's for my kids, Tyler and Madison. They're 16 and 14, and they're living with me in a one-bedroom apartment above a pizza shop. Tyler's supposed to start his senior year next month, but we can't afford the school supplies. Madison needs a dress for homecoming, and I can't even buy her a $5 sandwich for lunch. He looked up at me with tears in his eyes. I know what I did to you. I know I don't deserve anything from you. But those kids, they're innocent in all this. They didn't ask for their parents to be fuck-ups. I leaned back in my chair. Where's Jessica in all this? Gone. Moved to Florida with some guy she met online. Sends a Christmas card if the kids are lucky. She doesn't pay child support, doesn't call, nothing. And you think I should help you because you're a good man, Marcus. Better than me? Better than I ever was. He was crying now. I destroyed my own life, and I can live with that. But my kids are suffering because of my mistakes, and I can't fix it alone. What exactly are you asking for? Just enough to get the kids through school. Maybe help with rent so we can get a 2-bedroom place. I'm not asking for handouts. I'll work. I'll do anything. Construction, cleaning, whatever. I'll pay you back every penny. I studied his face. The arrogance was gone. The entitlement was gone. This was a broken man begging for his children. How much? Maybe 2,000 a month? Just until I can get back on my feet? 2,000 a month for how long? Until Tyler graduates and gets a job? Maybe 2 years? I did the math. $48,000 total. And what makes you think you won't fuck me over again? Derek met my eyes for the first time since he'd sat down. Because I've already lost everything that mattered to me. My wife, my house, my career, my reputation. The only thing I have left is my kids, and if you help me keep them safe and fed, I'll spend the rest of my life being grateful. I let him sit there in silence for a full minute. I'll think about it, I finally said. Marcus, I said I'll think about it. I'll give you an answer in 1 week. He nodded and stood up. Thank you, just thank you for considering it. After he left, I sat in my office for a long time. Part of me wanted to tell him to go fuck himself. But another part of me kept thinking about those kids, living in a 1-bedroom apartment above a pizza shop because their parents were idiots. 3 days later, Jessica showed up. My secretary buzzed me again. Mr. Marcus, there's a Jessica Thompson here. She's very insistent. Jesus Christ. Send her in. Jessica walked into my office and I barely recognized her. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by jeans and a t-shirt from Walmart. Her hair was fried from too much bleach, and she'd gained at least 30 pounds. The expensive cosmetic work had started to sag, making her look older than her 46 years. Hello, Marcus, she said, trying to sound confident but failing. Jessica, what brings you to my office? She sat down without being invited. I heard Derek came to see you. Did he? I know what he asked for. Help with the kids. And? She leaned forward, and I could see her trying to turn on whatever charm she thought she still had. Marcus, I know we haven't always seen eye to eye, but those kids are my children too. The kids you abandoned. I didn't abandon them. I just needed space to figure out my life. In Florida. With your new boyfriend. Her face flushed. That didn't work out. Shocking. Look, Marcus, Derek can't take care of those kids alone. He's working at a fucking Home Depot now, making $12 an hour. They need their mother. They needed their mother when you were cheating on their father and running up credit card debt. That's in the past, she said, her voice getting shrill. I'm here now, and I want to be part of the solution. What exactly are you proposing? She took a deep breath, and I could see her shifting into full manipulation mode. I think the kids should come live with me in Florida. I have a nice apartment, good schools nearby. Derek can visit whenever he wants. And how would you support them? Well, she bit her lip. I was hoping you might help with that. Just temporarily, of course. There it was. Help how? Maybe $5,000 a month, just until I get back on my feet. I'm looking for work, but the job market is tough. $5,000 a month, more than double what Derek had asked for. And what about Derek? Derek? She waved her hand dismissively. Derek's a loser, Marcus. He always was. He can barely take care of himself, let alone 2 teenagers. Those kids need a mother who can provide for them properly. A mother who abandoned them. I made mistakes, she snapped. We all make mistakes. But I'm here now, and I'm trying to make things right. By taking the kids away from their father and asking me for $5,000 a month. It's not taking them away, it's giving them opportunities. And $5,000 is nothing to you, Marcus. You probably spend that much on wine in a month. And there was the real Jessica. Still entitled, still greedy, still thinking everyone owed her something. Let me ask you something, Jessica. Have you talked to Tyler and Madison about this plan? Well, no, but because I have. I had lunch with them last week. Her face went pale. You what? I wanted to meet my nephew and niece. See what kind of kids they were. You want to know what they told me about you? She didn't answer. Tyler said, Uncle Marcus, I never want to see that woman again. She destroyed our family and then left us. Madison said, she's not my mom anymore. A real mom doesn't abandon her children. Jessica's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Those kids hate you, Jessica. And honestly, I don't blame them. Jessica's face crumpled. That's not fair. I'm their mother. No, you're the woman who gave birth to them. There's a difference. She started crying then. Big, ugly sobs that smeared what little makeup she was wearing. Marcus, please, I have nothing. My boyfriend kicked me out. I'm living in a motel. I can't find work. I need help. You need help? What about when Derek needed help keeping his marriage together? What about when I needed help 28 years ago, when my brother and girlfriend betrayed me? I was young and stupid. You were 20 then. You're 46 now. What's your excuse for abandoning your children? She wiped her nose with the back of her hand. I made a mistake, okay? I thought I could start over, be happy. But it didn't work out. So now you want to come back and play mommy when it's convenient? I want to make things right. I stood up and walked around my desk, looking down at her. You want to make things right? Here's how you make things right. You disappear. You sign over full custody to Derek. You don't ask for a penny from anyone, and you let those kids heal from the damage you've done. I can't do that. Then you get nothing from me. She looked up at me with pure desperation. Marcus, please. I'm begging you. I'll do anything. Anything? Yes, anything. I walked back to my desk and pulled out a piece of paper. Sign this. What is it? A legal document renouncing all parental rights to Tyler and Madison. Sign it, and I'll give you $10,000 to disappear forever. She stared at the paper. 10,000? That's it? That's more than you deserve. But Derek's getting 2,000 a month? Derek is taking care of his children. You abandoned yours. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, what if I don't sign it? Then you get nothing. And I make sure every employer in whatever city you land in knows exactly what kind of person you are. Her hands were shaking as she picked up the pen. This isn't fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Fair would be you rotting in hell for what you've done to your family. She signed the paper. I wrote her a check for $10,000. This is the last money you'll ever see from me or anyone in this family. If you ever contact Derek or those kids again, I'll have you arrested for harassment. She took the check and stood up. You know what, Marcus? You're right. I am a shitty mother and a shitty person. But you're not much better. You've let hate consume your whole life. Maybe, but I sleep well at night. Do you? Because I think you're just as miserable as the rest of us. She walked toward the door, then turned back. For what it's worth, I really did love you once. Back when we were kids. No, you didn't. You loved what you thought I could give you. Just like with Derek. Just like with Chad. Just like with every man you've ever been with. She left without another word. A week later, I called Derek and told him to come to my office. He walked in looking nervous, probably expecting me to tell him no. I've made my decision about helping you, I said. He held his breath. I'm not going to give you $2,000 a month. His face fell. I'm going to give you $3,000 a month. Plus, I'm paying for both kids' college tuition when the time comes. Derek stared at me like I'd spoken in a foreign language. There are conditions, I continued. You work for me. I'm putting you in charge of maintenance for all three of my companies. It's honest work, it pays well, and it comes with health insurance for you and the kids. Marcus, I don't know what to say. Say you'll take it seriously. Say you'll be the father those kids deserve. I will. I swear to God. I will. And Derek? Jessica signed over her parental rights. She's out of their lives for good. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Thank you, Jesus Marcus. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You're going to earn every penny of this. I'm a tough boss. I don't care. I'll do whatever you need. 6 months later, Derek had proven himself. He was punctual, hardworking, and grateful. Tyler and Madison were thriving. Good grades, new clothes, a decent apartment. Tyler even got a part-time job at one of my job sites and turned out to have a natural talent for construction. At Emma's first wedding anniversary party, Derek approached me during a quiet moment. Marcus, I need to tell you something. What's that? I never really apologized. Not properly. For what Jessica and I did to you 28 years ago. I looked at him. You're right. You never did. I was a coward and a piece of shit. I betrayed my own brother for a woman who turned out to be a snake. There's no excuse for it. And I'm sorry. I'm sorrier than I've ever been about anything in my life. Why now? Because working for you, seeing how you've built your life, seeing how you've helped my kids even after everything, I finally understand what kind of man you are. And I finally understand what kind of man I should have been. I nodded. Apology accepted. Really? Derek, I spent 28 years hating you. It was exhausting. I'd rather spend whatever time I have left building something better. He stuck out his hand. Brothers? I looked at his hand for a long moment, then shook it. Brothers.